So I went to obviously secondary school like everyone else. 11 years old, I'm in the art room, and our art teacher at the time, Mr. Mortman. Again, you never forget a decent art teacher, or you never forget a decent, inspiring teacher, quite frankly. And all gave us a lump of clay, and before us was this lump of clay, and he said, "Go on, do something with that." And half the art class started having a clay fight, and the other half started doing something with it. And I was in the latter, and I started doing something and making something with the clay. And the moment, literally, again, without sounding too sort of dramatic or poetic about it, the moment I touched the clay, it was like an epiphany moment. It was incredible, and I started molding the clay and manipulating the clay. And I did this pottery owl. Why? God knows why. But I did this owl, and the teacher came around, was walking around the class, and said, "That's really good, Keith. You seem as though you've really taken to the material. It's really good." And quite frankly, it was the first time at school that anyone had ever complimented me on anything. So I carried on with it, and I just really, really loved it. And I was basically in the art room in the lunch hour, after school, absolutely whenever I could, and worked all through school, and did A-level pottery, for whatever that means. But I did A-level, and it was fantastic, and it was kind of my release from the rest of the stuff at school. It's incredible. As human beings, we all have a left and a right side of the brain. And some of us are more leaning to the left. I think that's the creative side, and some of us more academic. And I was definitely more on the left side of the brain. And now in my capacity as sort of the idiot that cries on the telly, I'm always extolling the value and the virtues of creative subjects within school. It's incredibly important. That's because it was for me, and it was my way out, and it was my way forward to see my own personal future, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
So what happened after you left school then? Like, what's kind of the journey a potter makes? Like, do you have an apprenticeship or?
So back in the 80s, you go to the careers officer. I don't know if they still have them, and you sit in front of this desk. The careers office to the other side, and so I'm of 17, 18 years now of age. I'm doing my A-levels, God knows why. And she says to me, so what do you want to do? She said, do you want to be in the gas board, the fire department, or the police? That she obviously had deals with all these organisations. And I said, no, I want to be a potter. And she literally said, well, you're on your own there. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. Go away. It's like, and so yeah, exactly. So I sort of enrolled to go to Harrow College to do art, but predominantly pottery. They had a brilliant ceramics course at the time, and or Camberwell College in London. I was a Londoner. Lived in North London, and I really didn't quite like the idea of going into more education. I couldn't stand school. And so, but fortunately, I put an advert in a ceramic magazine called Ceramic Review, and looking for an apprenticeship or some kind of work in a pottery. And lo and behold, some dodgy geezer phoned me up and said, "Come over to Harefield near Watford and see what you can do." And so, lo and behold, I started as a clay boy. At Harefield Pottery, shoveling clay, sweeping the floor, making the tea, and being threatened to be chucked in the canal because the pottery was right by a canal. And that was kind of my introduction into sort of professional life.